Well, there. Hello,
Hello,
GM.
hello, good morning. I hope everybody's tummies are still full from last night. I know mine is. I was telling my son on the way to dinner, I said, I'm gonna eat 3 plates. I'm so hungry. I try not to eat before this is not recommended, or I'm not telling other people to do this, but the tradition is you don't eat anything before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving dinner is usually early. You usually eat it between 3 and 5, depending on your family. At least in New England, that was how it was done. Some even earlier. I know that some would do 2 p.m. But
What time did you eat at?
3:34.
Oh man, that's so early. Oh, maybe
Well,
it's not.
but because I don't, and I don't know what the actual reasoning, for the whatever, but you're not eating in the morning, really. Mostly you're cooking, you're watching football, and you're trying to abstain from food, so you're extra hungry because it's your favorite meal of the year, and then you eat so much at that point that maybe at 8 or 9 o'clock you come back for like one of those mini plates, like mini snack plates, and of course you've gorged yourself on
The old
pie.
mini snack plate.
Right, and of course you've eaten a ton of pie in between as well. Pumpkin pie with
Okay, I have a severe distrust of people that don't like pumpkin pie. I'm just throwing it out there.
and it's a thing. Like,
Yeah,
there's
people
a lot-
hate it.
It's divisive. It's divisive to
It
say.
shouldn't be. Pumpkin pie should not be as divisive as pineapple on pizza. That one, and I do like pineapple on pizza. Send the pitchforks.
I'm throwing things at the screen right now you can't see.
Actually, you don't like pineapple on pizza?
Look, I smoke a lot of pot. Let's not get into what I like. There's a lot I'll eat that I don't think fits into like the haute cuisine definition of proper, but it's fine. It's sweet, it's salty, and I get it.
That's the thing. It's got to go with the right toppings.
Right.
Like, it's not just like you make like any kind of pizza and then let's throw pineapple on it. It's got to go with the bacon. It's got to go, the ham.
I'm born.
Yeah. Anyways, back to turkey dinner. What is your favorite part? What is your favorite item in turkey dinner?
Yeah, it's the turkey and the gravy. A lot of people have a side, or it is the turkey and the gravy. I can't even get, again, making a good turkey is not obvious, right? And it's not easy. And most people don't go looking for a free-range bird that hasn't been injected with a brine to quote unquote keep it moist at the blah blah blah. So I understand why most people hate turkey, and it's because, one, it's hard to get a good turkey, and two, you live with a bad cook. I get that. I understand that. But a well done turkey with crispy, beautiful, Maillard reaction, brown skin on the outside, with a perfect gravy made from the brown bits of the turkey you just cooked, along with a homemade stock. That's the best part of Thanksgiving dinner. Second best is the stuffing that comes out of that bird that you also just completely based with gravy.
Well, you made a good point on your Twitter thread about you can't get a bird that's too big. It doesn't cook properly.
Never. And here's the thing.
And you're going to get sick from the stuffing inside because it's not going to get to the proper temperature.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, right? So the problem most people face, right? Of course, there's the bragging part, I got the 29-pound turkey this year, Bill. You got a 23?
Yeah.
You 23. All right, so there's that component too. But a lot of people, this is their biggest dinner party of the year. You have 20 people coming over. I totally get why you need a large turkey, but, and I know it sounds like a pain in the ass, it is much better to cook 2 12-pound turkeys than it is to have a 24-pound turkey, because the breasts And the legs and the thighs, not only do they need to be at different temperatures, but unlike a chicken, the distance is even greater between where they are in the oven. Remember, heat rises, right? So your breasts are going to cook quicker, yet they need to be at a lower temperature, and your thighs are going to cook slower, but they need to be at a higher temperature. So spatchcocking is obviously something I described in my, I didn't say how to do it. Everything can be Googled, of course, but the main philosophy is you get the breasts at the same height as the legs and the thighs. And what that does is it allows all the components to get to the right temperature at the same time. So definitely,
there's probably a couple of entrance points into this conversation where if people just tuned in, they have no idea what we're talking about. It is turkey. It is turkey.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's turkey. So it's difficult though, because with a chicken, you could basically use kitchen shears to spatchcock it and push down with your hand and you're fine. A turkey, you probably need a cleaver to get through those lower bones to really, a lot of people are probably like, oh, I'll spatchcock it. And they grab their kitchen shears and it broke in their hand. Like turkey bone's not easy to get through.
Man, we, back in my chefing days, we used to bring in turkey for some like a healthy wrap we had. It wasn't like a feature, or it was just like on the menu. But of course, we used to buy the big turkeys, but not because we were serving it as turkey dinner, right? And before we would cook it, like while it was still raw, like literally just hack the turkey right in half and then cook it flat.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't about presentation or anything like that. We just needed the meat off the bones. But like that's what you have to do with those big turkeys to cook them properly. Is just like, you gotta cut them in half. They don't cook properly if you don't.
And you really want to go next level? If you buy one of those gigantic turkeys, okay, here's what you're gonna do. You disassemble it before cooking. So you're gonna want to take off the thighs, the wings, and the legs, and you're gonna want to take off the breasts as well. So you need to cut them off the turkey, okay? The other thing you're gonna want to do is very carefully remove the skin so you can save it and crisp it up. Remember, we want every component of that turkey. Now you're going to sous vide those breasts to a perfect 155. It'll be the moistest turkey you've ever had in your life. Then you are going to take those legs and thighs and you're going to confit them, which is braising them in the
Isn't it 165?
165 is restaurant safe. It is the quickest route to dry any bird. I tell most people who get scared 160, try not to go above 160. If you are buying a free range bird that you know where it came from, you're close to the farm, and 150 is where I'd go with the breasts. I would look, they serve medium rare chicken in Japan because the chickens are running out back. They know what they're doing. Okay. It's only American mass produced or westernized mass-produced chicken that you really need to cook through. And restaurants have to think about,
that doesn't even sound good, though.
Well, I'm telling you. I know. You'd have to go and try it, though, at the yakitori places in Japan. We have some in New York, some like high-end yakitori places. But
I can get down with raw fish, but I don't know. Yeah. Raw chicken is not like a good texture. Or I guess it's medium rare, so it's not like it's...
Right. But essentially, you confit the legs, the wings, and the thighs, and you sous vide the breasts, and then you have literally perfect temperature. And you'll probably have the best legs and thighs you've ever had in your life because you've basically braised them in the gravy. This is going to be the best turkey confit you've ever had in your life. That's what you could do with a really large turkey. Most people don't know a lot of the words I just said, which is why it is something I included in the post. It's like very next level cooking. And,
confit is frying it in its own fat, right?
Yeah. The other problem is you don't get that beautiful presentation of the turkey coming to the table. So that's the other downside to that method. Honestly, I've never really done it, but it is the way to quote unquote perfect,
I love this tweet from Elon that he edited. And Greg, did you see that Greg called him out on?
No, what was it?
God, I gotta find Greg's response to it too, but I'll pull it up. Elon just like tweeted out yesterday, Thanksgiving cuisine is such a delightful symphony of flavor.
Right.
But he edited it from Thanksgiving dinner to Thanksgiving cuisine, and it was just like Elon bot like trying to compose like a tweet to make him sound human. You know what I mean? Like,
huh. But wouldn't dinner sound more?
well, I guess maybe he got like oh, it's not just about dinner. Or, like, I don't know, like, you know how people like to correct everything.
Maybe he's just a genius and it worked. I would have never thought of that as a way to like drum up, engagement.
No, I don't think that was the engagement part of it. It was just Greg's response to it was funny.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I can never find where that is.
Greg, famous for receiving a Tesla from Sam Bankman-Fried, which was paid for with your money, everybody. So hands together. We love Greg. Not his fault. But he's driving around in your stolen.
But you start to see where the money went. I mean, I know that's only 100,000 of X billion, which is a small drop in the bucket. But
and don't worry, it was out of Sam Bankman-Fried's own bank account, which is money he stole himself. So there's 2 degrees of separation.
He worked hard to steal that money.
He worked hard to steal that money, guys. Don't. I love Greg. He literally couldn't have known. It is not his fault. Sam Bankman-Fried was, if anything, very good at marketing, and he was familiar with crypto Twitter and how it worked, and who Inverse Bra is, and who Greg is, and of course, what a way to leverage some marketing. This guy literally asked him for a Tesla, and he sent him a Tesla. So not Greg's fault. Greg is a comedic genius. We love having him on the site, though.
One of the best accounts, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. Though I think if I have the right to make jokes just as he does, I think my joke is very funny that he's driving around in your stolen money.
Oh yeah. Well, less upsetting than, his parents buying 9 properties and whatever. Anyways. Okay. Last question about Thanksgiving, and then we'll start. We'll start the show, I guess. And I want some people in chat to answer this too. Do you? Huh?
The cat?
The chat.
Yeah, that's cat in French.
Is it?
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off.
I'm such a good Canadian, yeah. We don't all know French. In fact, most of us don't. Do you segment your food and eat it separately, or do you just like throw it in a pile, like just lace some gravy over top and just have at it?
I put it on the plate separately. In the beginning, I'll be gentle and I'll take some from each bit and I'll dip here and there, and then eventually animal instincts take over. Not pretty if you're looking at it directly, but usually most other people are distracted with their plate or whatever the controversy at dinner is.
You know what I had at a pub?
Mm.
Thanksgiving dinner stuffed into a Yorkshire pudding bowl.
So at a Thanksgiving dinner stuffed in a Yorkshire pudding bowl. Well, yeah. So it was kind of like a shepherd's pie type of thing, but
kind of. Yeah. So it's a Yorkshire pudding bowl. I mean, there's about yay big. I don't know if that's any size context for you. It was turkey, stuffing, the peas, the sweet potatoes, the corn, everything just all put into the bottom of it. And then the mashed potatoes like pressed on top and then just baked in the oven.
Well, I really, it's a perfect bite. Getting a little bit of every component is a perfect bite. That's why people compose those sandwiches we were talking about, the Thanksgiving sandwich, which is very important. But maybe we should just rewind a second and talk what I was saying. controversial topics at Thanksgiving dinner, because I feel like this year's controversial topic was the meme of the month for as far back as 30 days ago. People loved it. Oh, ETH was 4K last year. You got to speak to your family. Oh, ETH was
good
4K.
luck at your Thanksgiving dinner.
I mean, the meme was so tired. Like, not only had every influencer made it, they made it 3 times in different forms. Boy, what a tired meme. All that said, did anybody talk to their family about crypto at Thanksgiving? I honestly don't know. I did not talk to my family about crypto last year.
Well, that was the key.
But I don't.
We joked about this on the last show. It's like, yeah, buy the top here, please.
Look, I know what trading is. I know the risk tolerance it takes as a human being to be able to trade and invest properly. It is a lot less about what you're buying and doing than how you can handle it as a human being and react to it and what you're going to do. I know that the next trade I make could be a zero. All the money could get lost. I know how to deal with that myself. I don't know how to explain that to somebody who doesn't have the risk tolerance, who I convinced to enter a risky, 100%. I have said this before. If you really believe crypto is going to make you magnanimously wealthy and rich, just give your parents money when you're rich. Give them an allowance like they gave you. Buy them clothes like they bought you.
I think what a lot of people are doing is like, you're sitting there, your parents have some money, and eventually maybe that's going to flow down the bloodline, and it's like, maybe you should turn that into more.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that if crypto is that great and it's going to make you that, financial generational wealth, I hear, then there's no need to involve anybody else. You're there. You represent whatever clan you're from. They're all going to be good once you're good. Okay.
And again, I think the ironic part is that most of the people that got themselves into that situation aren't sitting there going, "You should buy now."
Right. You know how hard it is to follow your own fucking portfolio? You got to worry about 7,000 other people's portfolios who all bought at different times because they had to think about it for a week. And come on. Don't tell anybody about crypto. It's a good secret. Let them hear about it in the news. I'm sure we have good news flow. What's been in the news recently, R2? All good things, I suppose.
Thanksgiving dinner and crypto down.
Yeah, actually,
it's not doing too bad. Well, okay, let's just do the where we're at today. $1,190 on Ethereum. Pretty much just trading sideways over the last 24 hours. We did take a bit of a dip. Yes. Oh no, that's 7 days. Yeah, pretty much just sideways for the past 24 hours. I always forget
that dip is important. The 7-day thing you're looking at is important because it seemed as the Genesis news dropped, this idea of contagion, another shoe dropping, and coins actually making new lows for the year started to dominate again. It seemed like we were at the lower part of support levels. If we lose this area here, we're da-da-da. And it has been bought back pretty hard with honestly no good news. Nothing good has come out to get it here. Well,
look, even with the SBF stuff and the FTX going down and all of that price collapse, there seems to be a lot of buy support once it gets down below 1,100 or around 1,100, right? Like people seem to be happy to start buying it up, or sellers get tired.
I mean, I think, here's what I think too. We know that the hacked wallet is a seller everybody is watching because they obviously don't seem to care about low liquidity on the books. Remember, in a low liquidity order book, large players will be more hesitant to take bets in either direction because you affect the market too much with your bet. And what's the point of taking little bets? It doesn't move the needle anyway. So it's almost a game of chicken right now to see who's going to be the one who goes first. And I'll tell you how those things normally end is with a news event. and we could talk about what possible news events we have coming up next week, which is going to be a big week as well. White Burr, if you have more information, what are you talking about? Wrapped Bitcoin getting attacked. We know that Wrapped Bitcoin is an Ethereum wrapper for Bitcoin so that you can trade, effectively trade Bitcoin on something like Uniswap even. I would love some more info on that. I haven't been on Twitter in, this morning even. I didn't even really log on except to say good morning. So I don't know what's happening.
Well, we will we'll keep up to date on that if there's something going on there. But it does seem like there's a lot of right now people trying to take advantage of poking and prodding and seeing what's actually working and what doesn't. I know last week people were trying to cause a bank run on Coinbase and Binance with the grayscale and blah 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 blah. I mean, we are our own worst enemies sometimes. But
well, did you hear Coinbase? I didn't verify this. It just came across as a headline. So maybe someone out there knows, but Coinbase released reserves of 2 million Bitcoin, which is like $33 billion or something like that.
Oh, did they?
I heard.
I mean, I just never, again, like I don't hold my funds on Coinbase. So it's not like it does or doesn't affect me. Obviously, Coinbase going down would be huge for the industry and not good. But, I saw this. There's a lot of conversation about this. Not this. We know who he is. Mario Nawfal, right? And he's kind of getting shredded today, being like, "Oh, a trustworthy source, but I haven't verified it yet." Said major exchanges are insolvent, and now everyone's just like, "Dude, can you just honestly just shut the fuck up, please?" But the biggest thing is, and I saw a couple of this responses. Okay, so what? Everybody should have their money off by now anyways. If you haven't learned from the FTX thing, then what are we doing here?
Well, yeah, and I mean,
I know that was kind of a weird tangent to go off on, but it was
FTX was shocking, but we talk about a conversation or two I had back in like February where I didn't even know who FTX was. I didn't know why they were I was like, how are they getting all their names on stadiums and all that shit? And I've never heard of them. Like it seems to me they're bigger than Coinbase, yet I don't even know who they are. And I'd look around. I saw that my favorite, show, Up Only, it's sponsored by FTX. I just bought into it. I was like, all these smart people couldn't be wrong about this thing. It must be big and important, right? Coinbase.
And for the record, if FTX had offered to sponsor this show, sign me up at the time.
Why not? Sure. I didn't know.
Even now.
We had inside information. But the thing is, with Coinbase, like all that aside, saying, "Oh, you can't trust anyone now," and I trust Coinbase. Like I will actually put my neck out on the show and say it only because I think there's so much at risk for the people who they can go to literal federal prison for lying. What's it? Why would you? I would much rather come out and let the company go bankrupt than go to jail. Fuck. So it seems to me that the Coinbase FUD is obviously ridiculous. I would argue Tether FUD, which I still think is probably out of bounds, has more credence to it than Coinbase FUD, which is governed by the SEC. What is going to happen over the next week? We actually have some very big data points coming out that could set the tone for the month, right? You have a lot. You have core PCE, which is the secret measure that the Fed watches for inflation. Now, we got the CPI and the PPI. Those are the ones that most people watch. It's the headline numbers. It's the stuff the New York Times will report, and it does move markets. The core PCE is known to be the Federal Reserve's preferred gauge to watch inflation. Now, we just had a 1-2 punch with CPI and PPI coming in not just soft, but softer than even the most bullish expectations. If core PCE does that as well, That is a notch for the bulls, okay? And when I say notch for the bulls, what it means is that the dollar and bonds are going to go in the opposite directions they've been going all year, okay? That's almost more important than stocks. Yes, people talk about crypto tracking the NASDAQ, but stocks are the highest beta in traditional investing. So they will get ahead of themselves in both directions before these larger, slower moving assets do. The dollar and bonds are a much better tell to watch. Let's see how they respond to core PCE, especially if it follows the trend of what we just said. That could be a big tick in the bullish camp. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you have Sam Bankman-Fried, okay, talking Wednesday at the Deal Book conference.
Is that actually happening?
This is insane. Not only is it happening, my friend, it was confirmed by Andrew Sorkin, who is, again, very widely considered the best financial reporter in the world. He is the host every morning on CNBC. He works for the New York Times. The Deal Book is a very important financial conference every year in which him and a host of other very smart people interview titans of industry. And I really want to remove all the pitchforks, joking, and whatever aside. Sam Bankman-Fried has agreed to this interview, okay? Whether a lawyer would say he should do it, whether we think it's smart that he does it, whatever, all that aside, he thinks it's smart for him to do it. Why? Is he going to come out there and say stuff we don't know? Is there a reason coins haven't made new lows on the year? Are we going to find out what that reason is when Sam Bankman-Fried is in? Wednesday could be a huge day for crypto in both directions. Okay, we don't know what this guy is going to say. We don't know what can come out. We don't know what tweets are going to retort or say different. It could be a huge day for crypto. That's going to be on Wednesday. Finally, Friday.
Is Vitalik going to be there too?
I don't know.
I saw something with
maybe.
No, it's all good. Keep going.
So Friday, then you have U.S. labor numbers. You got the non-farm payroll coming out. Okay, so when you talk about inflation gauges like CPI, PCE, et cetera, and jobs numbers, these are the most important data points from a month-to-month basis in markets. The two most important data points coming out next week, sandwiched with Sam Bankman-Fried being interviewed in the middle. I think prices are going to move a lot next week, probably tease people in both directions, but net, depending how all those numbers go, it's going to set the tone for at least the first couple weeks of December. You know, once you hit December 24th, there is that seasonal effect of what they call the Santa rally, where with most people on vacation and everybody feeling kind of cheery and holiday, the market kind of floats up in those last 6 days when most people aren't at the office and there's low liquidity. But it could just float up from, 20% lower if early December is seasonally. Early December is not a good time. Early and mid-December, people need liquidity for Christmas presents. People are about to go on vacation. People are scared they're not going to make their year. They're not going to make their quarter. People need to take losses so that they can do tax loss. Early December is actually...
Well, that's the one thing I was going to say is tax loss harvesting could be relatively aggressive this year simply because everything has gone down so much.
Yep. So,
and the thing about tax loss harvesting is that when you take a loss, depending, I'm saying this in Canada, and I know that the States is true too. You can carry those losses, those capital losses, forward forever, right? So if you're taking 90% losses on stuff, but you know that things are going to go back up, if you take the loss on it now, you can write those losses off against any gains that you have in perpetuity all the way down the line. So it is actually quite a powerful tool to deploy. But when everything is down as much as it is, I mean, you get to take a lot of capital losses on it.
Now, here's how markets trick people. You have all those negative forces we just listed to you, but
that was not tax advice, by the way.
Right. This is a different year. Okay. This is a insane bear market that has seen the highest beta industries like SPACs, technology, and crypto take 80% haircuts. Okay. The market is down. It's down a lot. We are now getting data that is not just good, but again, unexpectedly good, much better than we thought it was going to be. Everyone's expecting it to be bearish next week. We're close to it. You get a bullish day today, seasonality wise, and then next week it starts to get hairy again. I think you're going to get a bear trap early in the week where people are like, yep, same old seasonality. All these bad things are here. Let's go down and down. Then and it's always a big if these numbers start to, again, be ticks in the bull camp where PCE, the Fed's preferred gauge of inflation, comes in soft. Sam Bankman-Fried says something like 80% of the money is there if this, and this happen. And then on Friday, you get a weak jobs number. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but you want to see the labor market cool off a bit because it makes people think, oh, the Fed is going to slow down because the labor market is starting to cool off. And we've just had massive layoffs across a bunch of tech companies that are going to show up in NFP. There is a very, very good setup for next week. If these things come in good, that could set up a very big rebound in December people didn't expect just because markets have been down so much this year. So it's going to be a big week next week. I could actually see crypto floating higher into Monday just to set up that down early week where people start questioning whether the bullish leg we've seen for the last month is coming to an end.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen big runs in December in the past too. It's not like it's like every single year it's the exact same thing, right? Like the 2017 run, Bitcoin made its $19,900 high in December, right? Even 2 years ago, I guess now, crypto went on started that huge run in 2020. Yeah, at the end of it. So like, it's not always the case, but last year we all kind of got punished, if I recall correctly, in December. And then January, things started to really get fun for a little bit there. And then it all came toppling down. And here we are.
I guess here's what I wonder. The biggest crypto news that we have going forward now is the halvening, right? I would think that whether the halvening works or not as the next rocket launch, okay, is going to be telling, right? Everyone's watching it. Everyone expects it to be bullish because it's been bullish each time.
Is it one of those things though? It's bullish because we believe it's bullish, or it's the actual dynamics of how it changes the market that causes the supply crunch, right?
Yeah, no, there are technical
half as much from miners.
There's technical reasons ETH should be bullish, right? We've been deflationary for weeks now.
Have we though? Has
yes.
the gas been high enough to do that? Yeah.
Very much so. Go to, what is it called? Ultrasound Money. Is it .com or .io? I forget. It will show you how much is burned. We are literally like constantly deflationary. And that, again, this is at the low point of the market. If you honestly believe ETH is going to be adopted even just by institutions on this next round, oh my God. You can see the line. Okay. Yeah. You can see how we've now dipped below you can see we started to get deflationary much higher, but we were creating ETH for a while. Now we have net.
This is the total ETH gained or support.
Totally. Okay. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, that's over time. All right.
Exactly.
I was thinking like in that moment, is it deflationary?
Our trend is majorly deflationary. And again, this is at the lows of the market. There'll be little spikes like we're seeing now and stuff. And we may even be inflationary for a bit if the market got worse, another shoe dropped and people stopped you. Well,
that's actually crazy because you could do it like if it had stayed on proof of work and we'd be up almost 1 million ETH.
How nuts is that, yo? And we've burned 3,000.
This is cool.
So, how do you factor that in, right? ETH is a fungible, traded entity that on a daily basis is driven by supply and demand and market makers and all that. But how do you factor in the fact that there would be an extra million ETH out there right now had it not changed? How much lower would we be with that much more supply having been out there and likely turned into USD? That's all
That's a
minor
great
profit.
point, because once you switch to proof of stake, all of the dynamics and the supply locks and obviously the issuance completely changes. Maybe that's one of the reasons why we didn't hit our all-time low. Like, I never actually checked, but was our market cap the same at its $1,100 low? Like, do you know what I mean?
ETH
Or
is
not
going
the
to be $1
market
million.
cap, but like the
I've decided.
projected market cap with the growth?
Yeah, Kathy's wrong. It's not Bitcoin that's going to $1 million by 2030. It's ETH, because everyone's going to use the world's supercomputer, and they're going to scale it up so Gwei is like 0.000001 per transaction, and ETH is going to be $1 million. I've decided 5% on $1 million. It's happening. It's happening. ETH,
But then ETH is deflationary if that's how much the gas is.
If what?
If that's how much the gas is, then ETH isn't deflationary. No?
Stop talking wise to me. No. The L2s will be doing the majority of transactions at that point. They'll all be bundling together.
Well, great segue. I wanted to pull up this
scaling.
article because you are very bullish on it, but just Polygon's kind of secret sauce of, why everyone is starting to build on it. And the list of names that are jumping onto Polygon are pretty substantial at this point.
Won.
We obviously talk about the slow drip of it, but then when you see them all in a list, right? Companies building on Polygon: Disney, Adobe, NFL, Robinhood, Facebook, Nubank, JP Morgan, Nike, Reddit, Flipkart, don't know what that is, Stripe, Starbucks, DraftKings, and then gaming. I mean, I know that I have said I'm bearish on L2s with the merge, but then I see this and I go, I think, when you do where there's smoke, there's fire kind of thing, I'm probably going to just start a recurring buy of Polygon now. I think I have to. How do you ignore this, right?
Well, here is some advice to our American friends who use Coinbase. If you get the Coinbase card, you can have it pay you 1% cash back in Polygon. How great, think if you just took everything you spend on a daily basis, you use your debit card for that, and 1% is refunded to you in Polygon. I know some other cards may give you 1 or 2% back. And in the end, it's probably best to just take that higher percentage card and buy Polygon every month at the end of the month when they give you the card. But if you're lazy and you just want to use Coinbase, you can get paid 1% back on Polygon. And yeah, I think Polygon truly has the potential to be one of the top 5 coins. And I definitely think it can get to top 3 on the next cycle. And I forget what the market cap is at right now. What's it at?
Polygon's market cap is at $7.5 billion.
Right. So it can definitely be a 10x on the next cycle. And if mass adoption happens, and we're going to be talking about companies, the largest companies in crypto, I definitely think Polygon is in the conversation. They are bringing the largest Web2 brands onto the Ethereum chain. What else can you say?
Yeah, it is incredibly hard to ignore that at this point. I mean, you can say whatever you want about if you believe L2s are important, but I mean, they're going to be important on Bitcoin too, like Lightning Network, all of that stuff. Bitcoin functions as is, and it's likely always going to stay that way, as it should. I believe Bitcoin is beautiful and important in its simplicity, right? And I don't think that they should ever get away from that. But to make it more transactable and more, I guess, approachable, those L2s are going to be important for it. So I guess in the same vein, maybe it should be ETH. But again, like that is a list of serious players in that company. And if you think like how big those companies are, that they're going to start transacting and operating on that network, I mean, it's got to come up to their level, right? Like you would imagine the value of the internet should be more than all of those companies combined, right?
Yes. And
You know what I mean? Like,
right. Right. You know, what these coins represent too is going to change. They're not securities right now, but eventually they will be. And not only will you be buying them as some sort of, tradable representation or proxy for the company you're buying, but you'll also share in the profits that they generate. And that's going to happen once regulation comes. Polygon is as much of a blue chip. If let's say Bitcoin and ETH aren't blue chips, they are the New York Stock Exchange. They are gold. That's what you build stocks on. Okay, I'm not even going to call them blue chips. If they don't exist, crypto doesn't exist, right? So those are your major protocols. Blue chip companies on those protocols. Polygon is definitely one on ETH. I would have a hard time naming another, but it's just we talk about the importance of scaling up in L2s, and then you talk about L2s who are actually making progress in real world business, and Polygon is it. Period.
yeah, I mean, the article does go on, and this is in context of who made this tweet. Ryan Wyatt. He said Polygon is having a moment right now with mainstream brand adoption, but Wyatt admits that what he sees as the studio's team advantage over rival scaling solutions like Immutable X and Arbitrum might not last. Pardon me. That is something that others will replicate over time. He said, I think we're taking advantage of the moment. I don't know if that's actually true. Do you know what I mean? Like, is this not one of those things that the more that happens on the one chain, the more incentivized everybody else is to jump onto that chain? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like we have 4 different versions of the internet that, like, Disney went on the internet and then, Nike was on the other one. Like, we kind of all operate on the same network and the same solution there. Again, we've had this conversation a bunch of times, but I always wonder, is this like a Blu-ray and HD DVD kind of battle where, like, one of them wins because everybody kind of is incentivized to be on that one and not both of them or one or the other, right?
Right.
So I don't know if I wholly agree with that, but I guess time will tell. Do you want to talk about MetaMask? Is it time for the MetaMask conversation?
Yes.
All right. So yesterday, some news came out that Infura is going to be collecting MetaMask users' IP and Ethereum addresses after the privacy policy update. Obviously, this is going to not sit well with the decentralized folk, including myself. I don't like that MetaMask is doing this. MetaMask is something that I've used for a long time, and it's always been one of the brands in this space that I view as pretty trustworthy and been operating in good faith. But now IP addresses are going to start being part of the collection there. Do you want to expand on this a little bit?
They made a tweet yesterday saying they made a small change in their terms of service that will be collecting IP addresses. And I don't think they gave any justification beyond what they're doing or why they're doing it. And we understand the obvious personal security ramifications of that for people who want to remain anonymous. And I think really what makes me more suspicious is whether they even just want to do what traditional Web 2 countries do, companies do, which is bottle up your data, look at your behavior, and then sell that to companies who want to advertise to you, right? That and is And it's not even necessarily just advertised to you, but companies that want to sell you things. NFT projects would probably love that type of data. The larger ones that are trying to create marketing campaigns. So I go, hey, why do they want to do this? And it seems that they haven't offered any type of explanation. And then when you think about MetaMask being what many people believe to be the decentralized option, we have gone through 3 weeks of your keys, your coins, and self-custody and all that type of stuff. And MetaMask is your average person's choice for wallet. They are owned by Consensus, which owns both Infura and MetaMask through subsidiaries, and Consensus is 10% owned by JP Morgan. When you own 10% of a company, you sit on its board, you have a lot of influence, and all JP Morgan wants to do is make money. They don't care about anything else. They will look for every avenue to do that. And even if they did not know how they wanted to leverage this data collection now, they may be like, why would we not do it? It's like mining gold. You stack all this gold, all this data, it can be sold at any time for $1 million. The government wants to buy it from them. Advertisers want to buy it from them. Anyone could want. They may not even have a reason for wanting to do it now beyond JP Morgan on their board says, why would you not be collecting this gold? You're just leaving free gold out there and not collecting it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good point. My initial, and maybe some people that are more tech and security focused on that listen to this can correct me if I'm wrong, but is this not all just solved by a VPN? Like, do you not use a VPN anyways? Does that change anything? Or is it more just the action that they've decided to do it that is rubbing people the wrong way? I don't love it either. This is not something that I would have liked from MetaMask. Again, going back to that, I always thought that they were like good guy MetaMask, but it does definitely depend on what they're doing with it. And, I think one of the biggest concerns would be that the government is now getting their hands on who these wallets belong to, how they're spending their money, and, what taxable events are all happening that aren't being claimed. That was my first kind of instinct, I guess. But
Imagine if you can't collect your MetaMask airdrop because you didn't verify your IP, you used a VPN.
Well, that's what I was wondering too, right? Because MetaMask was always rumored, or no, it's pretty much been confirmed that they are going to be doing a token drop and an airdrop eventually, and they were trying to figure out the best way to do it so that it can't be like egregiously farmed like some other airdrops that we've seen have been. But then I was kind of wondering if it's like, hey, we're gonna do this, and then like 3 days later they're like announcing the MetaMask token drop, and everybody just kind of forgets that they did it. You know what I mean? Like that misdirection.
Yep.
I was literally just wondering if that was something that's going to be coming soon, and could you imagine if they announced the token drop with a KYC? No, not so imagining.
I could imagine that they would do it. I'm sure a lot of people would, and a lot of people wouldn't.
Right.
I'm not sure how those percentages would break down. I think the majority of new users really don't care that much about anonymity. Remember, this was all built by hackers, guys. We don't even know who Satoshi is. There's a reason anonymity is like ingrained in the ethos of all blockchain, and it's because hackers have traditionally found it not favorable to their freedom to be known. And I just think that when you see these type of moves from MetaMask, it's very obvious they are not who we thought they were. And whether they do something like KYC the token or not, I bet there is a great business opportunity for the person that creates a better wallet than MetaMask, that's cooler with great branding, and announces the token airdrop very soon after creation, based on token trading history or NFT trading, or something good like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what we saw LooksRare do, right? Like they took your OpenSea trading history and applied it to their own network, so you could take everything you've done on within MetaMask and apply it to token drop. But yeah, I mean, you are right about that. I'm sure there are a bunch of different wallets that are kind of licking their chops at this, saying like, what a great free way to just onboard new users onto their platform, right?
There is now going to be a ton of money to be made in somebody that decides to do things honestly and sell that to investors. Like, look, if we start doing things honestly right now, we'll be making the most money. Then when the next cycle comes through, people are going to be dishonest again, and we're not going to be making the most money, and it's going to look like they are more attractive investments. But we will remain on an upwards trajectory, especially when that next trust system collapses and we are the only ones left. There is going to be great money for someone who figures that out. But the thing is, I'm guessing the people figuring that out right now are named BlackRock and Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, you ain't wrong. What else we got? We got some Bored Ape sales yesterday.
Yeah, I got bored after Thanksgiving dinner.
You got bored after Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah.
No pun intended or pun intended?
Pun intended.
I don't know.
Pun intended. That's a pun.
Yeah, that wasn't a good one.
Didn't have to be good.
I'm sorry.
It just has to fit the rules.
And I'm in more of a laughing mood today. I couldn't give you a sympathy laugh.
Wow, he's in a laughing mood, and I couldn't even get.
You were reaching further than Odell Beckham Jr. on that pass back there.
I am, since we're going to speak about
a Giants fan.
We're going to speak about a naughty collection that encourages going out after midnight and doing drugs. I will talk briefly about Wedding Cake. Wedding Cake, a strain bred by Seed Junkie, aka SBZ.
Is this an NFT project?
Yes, it is an NFT project. It is actually a very popular strain from maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And it has hints of vanilla and gas and umptuous cakiness. And Seed Junkie, his entire brand was bought out by Cookies. You guys probably know Cookies. It is the largest cannabis brand in the world. And that is the strain that we are enjoying post-Thanksgiving dinner. Back to you, R2.
I completely lost my train of thought there. I don't...
See how strong it is, guys? Even R2 got high, and he's hundreds of miles away from us right now.
Are they sponsoring the show now? Is that what's going on? I'm...
Like you said with FTX, not sure, but we would take it.
Yeah.
Hey, FTX. We would take it now. Sam Bankman-Fried is out. All the bad actors have been washed out. FTX, start with us. If you're
and I mean, it's not like if we slapped an FTX logo on the screen, like people would be oblivious as to what's happening on with that, right?
And you know what? Maybe if we did that for a week and then sent them a bill, we would get caught up in like the class action lawsuits that come out. We're like, they stiffed us on 300,000.
What was that? I saw some guy is going to jail because he was billing. Was it Facebook or Google? It was Google, I think. He was just sending them bills and they were paying them, and they paid him like $25 million over the course of like 2 years.
How is he the only person who has thought of this? Like these large companies, they're so inefficient, and people don't want to ruffle feathers. Just send them invoices for stuff. Put something on there like, walked by your office building 3 times today, $4,000. Like then if you get dragged into court, you'd be like, I have proof I walked by their office building 4 times today, Your Honor.
Did you ever hear about that guy that was robbing the banks in the States? He wrote a book about it. Like, he didn't go to jail or anything. He didn't use a mask. He like literally just walked in, and he found basically this loophole in banking. And in the States, obviously, you guys have a lot of smaller independent banks. In Canada, that doesn't really exist in the same way.
You just have one big bank run by Justin Trudeau and his family. But yeah, go ahead.
Partnered with FTX. No, but so basically he found that if you walked in and just slid the teller a note saying like, give me $5,000 and I'll walk out of here without any issues, that not only would they give him the money out of the till, but that they wouldn't do anything about it because they didn't want to launch an investigation. They didn't want bad press about money getting stolen, and they didn't want people to know about this. And so he drove around like all over his state and other states and just did this and like made millions of dollars simply because the banks didn't value $5,000 enough to do anything about it.
And people wonder why these
Now,
things
again, I'm not advocating for that, but
no, well, it's fine. People wonder why these things happen less now and why you don't see that. Well, it's because we have Web3. They've all moved online.
Yeah, transfer me your Bitcoin.
Right. There's it now. There's just a much more streamlined and effective way to rob people's money than physically walking into a bank and
you just get them to give it to you on an exchange.
Worry about her life. It's all
just
just
promise a 5% yield.
No, look, if you're starting a major product, I don't know, some random example like an internet, video game streaming service or something, you can just say, look, I'll just start a rug real quick and that'll bridge us until we can get some more money until mint and we'll be fine.
Perfect. Well, do you want to go there? Is that what we want to talk about?
No, we were talking about Bored Apes. I said back to you, R2.
Okay. Anyways, yeah. Last show we talked about what the big crypto punk and Bored Ape sales going down. Another big Bored Ape sale, 800 ETH, almost $1 million for the gold fur Bored ETH sold by Deepak. We also mentioned that he's been putting up all his NFTs in there, and I mean, in this market. Again, lots of big sales, lots of people spending money. There was another one that sold yesterday too. Why is this not working? Where did that go? Oh, it was 780 ETH for this one. Looks like the walk of shame ape, I guess. I don't know.
I think there are very few organically generated female apes. Like that's why they came up with other collections and stuff. But like if you are a famous and well-off person who wants a female-looking ape, there aren't a lot of them. So maybe that's because it doesn't look like particularly rare traits, but again, these are now fashion items. So if you need one that's aesthetically close to you, you may be willing to pay up a lot more money than its trait floor.
Well, and the other thing too is, and this doesn't show up on rarity trackers well because they kind of aggregate the total value of each trait that you get, right? So, if there's 10 traits in a collection, most will roll like 7, 8. Something that rolls 10 traits, even though it doesn't have any uniquely great traits in those, but the fact that it rolled 10 is rare in and of itself. But if you go on the flip side of it too, something that rolls 1 or 2 traits or is naked is actually incredibly rare too, because the odds of it rolling that is very, very low, right?
Yep.
In that vein, the rarity trackers don't really show that well, but every once in a while, we saw this in another collection very recently, actually, the pudgy penguins. The pure naked penguin sold for, I think, the highest sale that they've ever had, and it wasn't particularly rare, which made it rare in and of itself. But the Bored Apes are a collection that you get that a lot too. I remember seeing the double that they had. It had the 2 zombie traits and the 2 army traits. It had the army hat and the army shirt, and then it was zombie fur and zombie eyes. Now, all of those traits individually aren't particularly rare, but the fact that it rolled 2 matching sets of traits made it incredibly valuable. And I think that's, the hallmark of a really good collection when you see that kind of stuff and you see the premium that's valued on it. I mean, hell, even my Cool Man's universe that I had in the bottom for a couple of shows there was it was a naked spesh with a hat, right? And I was constantly getting like well above floor weth offers on it for that reason. So, I think that's pretty cool. But I think you're right in that regard of like, this is not a rare ape, but it is rare because of what was generated from it, right?
Yep, exactly. So I think we know why some, not just apes, but I'll tell you what has been flying are dogs. Now they're cheap comparatively, but a lot of dogs have been moving recently. And maybe this all goes, I think what you often see when Yuga hints at another announcement is the dogs start to fly, because one of their rumored next collections are the mecha dogs or the robot. It was on their roadmap or something like that. So I think people start to speculate that you're going to need the dogs for whatever the next component is. But as R2 is bringing up on the screen right now, Yuga, which has been pretty quiet since the other the other side deed land sale, has now presented us with this. Happy Thanksgiving, apes. The trial begins this Christmas.
Yeah, nice little teaser there. I've seen some tweets. Oh, this they retweeted this from Emperor Tomato Ketchup, who's a Yugo Labs co-founder, but he basically just said, you all are good at guessing, but I guarantee you ain't guessing this shit. Now that could just be misdirection, but
well, let's try. I mean, be a detective. Bring the picture up, because there's images
what I was
on
looking
the
at,
picture.
right?
There's images on the picture, right?
Yep.
Now, we know that in medieval times, and this ape is wearing armor on his arms here.
Right here,
A
yep.
trial
On the horse.
was a game. They called, when they were jousting, it was the trials, right? You would do that. Or trials are a preliminary for a game to see who's going to participate in the semifinals or the finals. So the other speculation is it people who are going to get trial passes for the other side world? Like, are they opening the video game and going to allow people to run around? Those were the three possible.
Or
yes.
Is it a court trial?
Because they are being investigated by the SEC. Would it be?
They have their trial date set. It is Christmas. Come on, guys.
They open it and it's just an indictment by the Securities and Exchange Commission.
NFTs are a security. Merry Christmas.
And everybody who owns an ape is included in the indictment. Woohoo!
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
You're due in court in 12 hours. See, this is what we do on this show. We really get to the bottom of things. Nobody is thinking about that, and I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Something
so
there.
Here's my gut, is that since they already had a contest of sorts, right? There was the standalone video game that they encouraged all apes to try to get the highest scores to win bongs, right? It was like a Bored Ape Bong was the first prize or whatever. Am I wrong about that? Do you remember?
Sorry, say that again.
So Bored Apes had their own video game that they released that only apes could play. It was for like a weekend or a week or whatever. And the ones with the highest score got prizes. I forget what the prizes were. I think one was a custom Bored Ape Bong or something like that. And
I don't remember that, actually.
And we also knew they did that scavenger hunt that like professional puzzle solver solved and did like a whole blog post on how he solved the puzzle and all that shit. So there was that. This could be another standalone thing, some sort of do this game, this contest, or this scavenger hunt and win Bored Ape prizes, or it links into their larger project, which everyone's waiting to find out about. I mean, other side deeds have gotten quite memeable in recent weeks, hitting lows, which, are a little shocking to people who paid upwards of 5 ETH at $3,000 ETH for these plots not too long ago. When are they going live? What is Bored Apes going to do with them? Are you going to be allowed to earn ape coin? Like, I don't know, renting your land? All these questions. Is that what's in this box? So many possibilities, but
it could be anything. It could even be a boat.
Could be. But I think we have seen some action in Yuga assets recently after what many would consider a flush, where they briefly went back under the punk floor. There were some WETH offers accepted of like 35 and 45. I mean, it was looking a little rough there. And now we've had a bit of good news flow. Is that Peppy fucking a turkey?
It sure is.
Nice. Happy Thanksgiving. Let's see if this announcement does something. We now have had the announcement of an announcement.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't know. It's Yuga is typically pretty good at not doing like the standard playbook, and they normally are the ones that are leading the way for, I don't want to say innovation, but like not doing the obvious thing, right? And then you see every other collection try and emulate what Yuga did so that they could kind of copy off the success of it. Like, maybe dogs have something to do with this, but they've also pretty much gone on record saying like the dogs aren't anything other than like something that they did for charity and airdropped a while ago. I guess they could and should incorporate them in some meaningful way. They had a little bit of a multiplier in terms of the ape coin that you could claim if you held the mutants and the apes, of course. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they actually kind of come up with, whether this is something as simple as like a trial into the game or whatever. But they have been quiet for a while, which means I would assume that they've been working on something relatively big, and something to get them back into the mainstream cycle.
I also don't blame them for being quiet. I don't blame any NFT project.
No, of course
not. Why? Look, I mean, we said we were going to talk about Valhalla earlier in the show. And I mean, I kind of have my opinion on what transpired here and why they're sitting at mint price right now. And to me, it's a great example of why nobody should be in a rush to do anything in this market unless they have other reasons to, which is suspicious.
Okay, well, expand on that then. I've got Valhalla.
So Valhalla was, and I think you and I talked about this on our show maybe 3 or 4 times on 3 or 4 different episodes. I was very unsure about this project. Of the 3 major ones that were supposedly minting this year, my number one issue was the opaqueness of what it is, because I believe your average person needs to be able to say in one sentence what they're minting, so that, for it to translate to your average person. Not that people who don't do deep research and big dives and can come up with, of course, there's that. But
yeah, you got to have the elevator pitch, right?
Right.
Like
you need a good elevator pitch
in 30 seconds.
Up till mint day, I could not tell you whether the art was going to be 3D or not. And I know everyone said they released a bunch of preview images and stuff, but I'm like, hey, look at that pill. That's a preview image. I love that art. I would love to see something in that stuff, whatever. All of that stuff going on. But here was the main thing, okay? You know what market it is, and the application meta itself was very suspicious to me, right? It was very easy for almost everybody I know to get an application and then get accepted. Now, I realized after a certain time, a lot fewer people were getting accepted, and I think that's because they had filled up a lot of the spots by then. It had nothing to do with what you filled out or what you said. I think it was just that early on, if you had filled out the application early, you had a very good chance of getting it because there were not a lot of spots given out.
Right. Well, because the applications were generated by people who got accepted, got 3 more, right? So there was going to be a huge compounding, outflow of application codes to even be given out, right? Like that first round was probably very small, but obviously tripling it every time gets very, very big. Sure. Yep.
So I was suspicious of the application meta to begin with because it seemed like a false marketing tactic to generate hype. And where was that hype generated? It seemed to only be within alpha rooms. That's another thing we've talked about a lot, that if I don't see mainstream Twitter hype, I feel pretty confidently it's not going to be a huge cook. Okay. So then you have all of these factors at play. And if these guys have ever seen an NFT mint or know how these type of launches go, there's a very specific pattern to it, right? There's everybody watches the pre-sales. How fast do they go? How fast does the whitelist sell out? When does it move? Everyone's watching, okay, trying to see. And they were staying well above mint for a while. Most people on the whitelist could have taken a decent profit for a pretty long time, between 0.7 and 0.8, depending on where you did it. Out of it, boom, there was volume most of the time. You didn't have to wait long, et cetera, et cetera. That's a good thing. Then we find out it's going to be a 2-week reveal. Okay. That's almost a joke when you hear it at this point, because it's like no project who has seen the NFT market as it is for the last 8 months would even think of doing a reveal that long, a reveal that's going to take 2 weeks. And if you were going to do something like that, how could you do it into this type of dead market? I said the only way they could be thinking of doing something like that is if they have some sort of big announcement, something coming after, and something we don't understand or don't see, whether it's a partnership with somebody famous, whether we find out the NFT does something we didn't think it was going to do, whether we find out the token is launching, but any number of things that could have been announced to continue to stoke interest. Okay, so you're waiting and waiting. And not only is there nothing, they basically put out an announcement. Thanks for minting. We're going to be releasing things in the future as it comes. And there's going to be a new member orientation town hall next week. I hope you guys will join us. They have had a new member orientation twice
Every
a week,
Wednesday.
every week since. They're literally doing nothing. They made you mint a gigantic project that it seemed like everybody who wanted one had one. They made you pay 0.5 with a 2-week reveal and had nothing after. That is one of two things. That is negligence in understanding the market you are selling and launching into, or they literally just don't care. They were just like, we have enough to sell out. We have enough hype. We don't really give a shit. We want the money. Those are the only two scenarios in my mind in which they could allow it get to where it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, I had some thoughts, but then the more that I thought about it, it just doesn't. It does seem poorly thought through. Like the 2-week reveal. I don't unless you had, like you said, like a carefully crafted kind of marketing plan and maybe some kind of like narrative, or using this into some kind of storytelling and build up as to, what Valhalla is and what you're trying to achieve and why it's going to be 2 weeks. Like all of that stuff would be really cool. But you're right, minting just before American Thanksgiving, of which I believe they're all Americans, and they were like, yeah, we're going to go spend some time with our families. We hope you all do the same thing too. By the way, thanks for giving us, $1,200 each. It was a little, I want to say a little disappointing. It is disappointing for sure. Again, like maybe they're trying to avoid doing the announcement of an announcement, like there was going to be more to come next week or whatever. But you're right. Like it does just seem like they minted and then they're like, okay, business as usual, new member orientation. And we're going to do a conference call next on the 28th. I don't know. Is that Monday? Like very, very anticlimactic. Only basically just a tweet to say, sold out. That's it. Like that concludes phase 3. We'll be hosting a new member orientation in the next few days to onboard our new holders into the community. Like exciting stuff. I mean,
it makes 0 cents. And I really think it comes down to they don't care. They probably assessed that they could sell out. And they were just like, even if their personal internal justification was, we know we're going to provide value for holders, we know that we're going to build them something great, like all that type of stuff. Why mint now? There was 0 reason to mint. The only reason that could be for minting now is you need the money. Otherwise, why not mint in 2 weeks when you could have a 1 day or a 2 day reveal? Why not have if you have announcements ready for a week from now?
Yeah, but here's the thing, man. Like, I get it, but you also yourself have admitted that like something like Meme Land has really had the wind come out of their sails because they've just kicked the can down the road for so long.
Yes, but
like, do you know what I mean? Like, at some point, maybe you just have to pull the trigger.
But we were already there.
What do you mean?
So, in other words, the wind had been taken out of the sails of these 2 projects. Both of these projects could mint out tomorrow. They know that. That's it. But Memeland knows the wind is out of their sails, and they aren't minting. They're holding back so far. This project knew the wind was out of their sails, but they were like, we could still get it across the finish line. And Christmas is coming up. I really, really wanted that new Porsche. Look, it is like I said, I feel like it's one of 2 things. It is either negligence in the sense that they don't understand how this market works, which seems like absolute bullshit when you look at the text messages these people have with it. They know NFTs. They get this market. They understand what a 2-week reveal is. And doing that, look, you just need to be, if you are going to do this, you need to be so damn upfront ahead of time. Like, literally say stuff like, we don't have any announcements or anything planned. You guys are investors. You're early investors. Like, it's very hard for me to see a way in which this wasn't just them thinking we need to get this money now and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I also saw this tweet too, and like stuff like this doesn't help when I often say sometimes we're our own worst enemies. Did you see this tweet by Plowy?
I don't even know who Plowy is.
I'm not like overly sure, but he's not an influencer or anything. But in terms of like how much ETH he has at his disposal, like I apparently like over 100 ETH just in his hot wallet alone. But he bought tons of these Valhalla NFTs, and then like he's an Azuki holder. He's got a whole bunch of other ones, and he basically just like his experience with this was just like, I'm leaving this market because he listed a couple of them, and people just like sell shamed him, like and threatened him and all this stuff, and it was just like, also not a good look. Like, what is this sell shaming thing that happens, right? Like, what I hate that. I hate it.
I don't even know it happens anymore because.
Yeah,
who's around to sell shit?
Right.
He must be within one of those communities that's still active and has the energy to sell shit. Really?
No, it was within the Valhalla community though. Like, I guess they were trying to torch him in the Discord and stuff. I don't know.
Anyways. I tried to follow along that Discord. It was so stupid. It just felt like the peak community meta back in the bull. It was like such bullshit. Like, I was just trying to see if they got any like floor price trolling going on, but they were really strict over it. Like, mods will ban you instantly for talking about.
Well, they had during the mint, they had a whole floor price chat, but they basically just said, look, like, have your time to do this right now. And then once we're done, once we're done, that conversation's done, which I guess you have to kind of respect.
That floor price chat was keeping the price elevated by 10 or 15%. They shouldn't have. Moment it was eliminated, that was off a cliff.
Yeah, I mean, it was hanging out around 0.7, 0.8 for a while, and then kind of just dropped right off. It did have a bit of a bounce. I do think that this will have a run. Like, I don't see it going above 1 ETH anytime soon or anything like that, or if at all. But I mean, if there's one thing you could say about it, once it gets towards mint price, it does seem to get It does seem to get scooped up pretty quickly. And then, we're seeing some pretty big sweeps on it around that 0.55 range. So, I mean, it's not dead in the water. I do find it like funny of like the expectations of like, when this was sitting at 0.7, 0.75, everyone's like, this project's a fucking flop and it's dead. I mean, like, you had the opportunity to have a nice 50% flip there. It's not like it's the worst thing in the world. Difficult time to mint into.
With the money,
I think you're right.
With the money and exposure that they have, they could turn anything on at any time. So it has that potential. But given their strategy for mint, I have less and less faith that they're like big brain 4D chessing whatever they think is going on.
Yeah, only time will tell. All right, is there anything else you want to talk about? I do have to wrap this up in a couple minutes, but not in a huge hurry. What do you got going on this weekend?
About this weekend, I would have to discuss it. I don't know, but have you tried witch hazel facial toner?
No.
I'm putting on.
What is it?
Facial toner. It's a facial toner. It tones your face, makes your face stronger.
Is it a cream?
I didn't even need to ask you because I looked at your face and I know you don't use witch hazel facial. No, I'm just kidding.
That's rude. Holy fuck.
Dr. Thayer's, I'm just kidding. I don't even
sandbagging me for the past hour and a half. We're like, we're gonna talk, we're gonna be friends, and then right at the end, like, have a good weekend. Your face looks like shit.
Well,
that's fine.
That's fine. You can go right down to your local pharmacy and get some Dr. Thayer's facial toner. I got the what do I have in front of me? The lavender version with some aloe vera in there.
All right.
My face, thanks.
Well, fine, thanks. Maybe I'll take your advice.
You should.
I'm done with this. I'm out. That was brutal. I feel like attacked. Yeah, seriously. FMC roasting R2. That's what we're here for, eh? That's what it's come to. That's how down this market is. Now we're just turning on each other.
I will say that the Ether coin, which is the native token of the Ethereum blockchain, is the exact same price as when we started at $1,190. It's slow out there. Thin book, holiday weekend, it's slow.
We've watched the market mature in real time.
Mm-hmm. Mature. You know when you're mature because you pronounce it mature.
That's the hallmark sign of somebody.
Everyone falls into the trap. They go, "I'm mature." I'm like, are you?
What's on your schedule?
What?
What's on your schedule?
See, another one. I know you can't plan a good schedule if you say it's scheduled.
Right. So coarse.
Because that is the old King's English, along with aluminium.
No, I don't like that one.
You don't say that in Canada? I would have thought Canadians said aluminium.
No. You know what? We are a confusing blend of like everything, honestly. I know. I was who was I? I was talking to One Shot the other day, and we were talking about stuff, and it's incredible because we're talking about the temperature, and we deal with Celsius. He's over in Europe, Celsius too, whatever. Then we start talking about like height, and I said feet, and he's like, "Wait, you don't use metric system for that?" I'm like, "No, I guess we don't." You know what I mean? Like we do all of these things, and it's just like it's all over the place.
We're confused. At least you drive on the right side of the road. You throw that in.
We do.
Yeah.
I
noticed there's a lot of passing on the right, though.
I don't know my height. I don't know my height in centimeters. I don't know my weight in kilograms. In fact, we barely use kilograms for anything.
Siri does. You can ask Siri.
Siri?
Yeah. Hey Siri, what is 6'5" in centimeters?
Oh.
6.42 feet is 195.58 centimeters.
See? I know how many centimeters.
6'5"? Are you 6'5"?
I was waiting for the background to start breaking out laughing. I wanted to see nobody No one caught it.
Just a rando in the background.
How tall are you?
I am over 6 feet.
Are you actually?
Yeah.
Nice. Good for you.
Bigfoot.
Not I.
Not you. Not us.
No. I'm close enough to 6 feet that if I put it on a dating profile, I don't get called out on it.
There you go. Do you have snow yet up where you are?
Snow?
Yeah.
We did very briefly. It was a shit show because despite being in Canada, everybody forgets how to drive. And
Did
and
they
now it's
ever
all
know to
melted.
begin with?
Hmm?
Did they ever know to begin with?
Debatable. I see some crazy drivers. Wow.
We got 7 feet of snow in Buffalo. I say we, I mean the state of New York, but Buffalo got 7 feet.
Well, I am surprisingly close to Buffalo.
They're in that pocket thing that causes all that crazy weather. But whereas most people get like, oh my God, how can they deal with it? I'm like, why can't we get 7 feet of snow? That'd be the happiest day of the year.
Man, 7 feet of snow in New York would be like a legitimate disaster, wouldn't it?
It would be the state would have to declare an emergency.
Oh yeah.
Everyone would no one would.
There's nowhere to put it.
Yeah, there'd be cannibals roaming the streets within a day. But it would be really fun for that 6 hours that people were just playing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, what was it? I think 7 or 8 years ago, Buffalo got hit with a massive, massive snowstorm. I think slightly bigger than what they just got. And I was living in the Niagara region at the time. I don't anymore. And on the Canada side, the Canadian side. And we only got a small fraction of it. Like we maybe got 6 inches, and no more than like just a couple of miles down the road, they were like 8 feet of snow under. Like it was crazy. It's crazy how that little area with the lake and the water and everything really just changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do I drive? Why?
Snow.
I drive a Chrysler.
I didn't know in Canada it was a Chrysler. It's a Chrysler up here.
Is it Chrysler?
Yeah.
I'm saying it wrong. Chrysler. Chrysler.
Yeah, you eat pasta in your Chrysler.
How do you say pasta?
We say pasta.
Pasta?
Pasta. Pasta.
Fiesta? No. I know I get the about.
Right, a boot, about.
People say that all the time. That's one that catches me off guard.
Oh, say process.
Process.
No, but you say process normally, don't you?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, you don't? I had a Vancouver friend who said process.
I feel like that's just like personal preference.
That could be. All the words are.
Yeah.
How do you say anti-disestablishmentarianism?
Anti-disestablishmentarianism.
There. All right. That one is the same. That's the longest word in the English language.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Are we sure about that?
Your Google machine works the same as my. Actually, it doesn't. My
No, it's not. You lied to me.
Fucking thing. You tell DuckDuckGo to find something.
You lied to me.
I did.
Yeah.
What's the longest word in the English language?
Oh my god, I don't even know how to say this. And then I got to wrap it up. But where did my screen go? I'm gonna pull it up. Oh my god. How do you say this? Pneumono ultra microscopic silico volcano coniosis.
Nice. I want to meet the scientist that's part of his craft, and he's practiced that shit so much, and he can say it like an Arab reading the Quran, like that beautiful poetry sound.
This is like, how do you fit that on a business card?
They probably have an abbreviation when they do scientific journals on that.
Did I get it? I'm going to practice this word, and then on Monday, I'm just going to bang it out.
Pneumonum ultra microscopic silicovolcanicochnosis. What?
Say it again.
Pneumono ultra microscopic volcanoconionosis.
That was actually pretty good.
Thank
I
you.
don't know if it was correct, but it sounded good. Well, look at the time.
Pneumono
All right.
ultra microscopic silicono volcano. Damn. We'll get there.
I'm just
Both
mad. You
practice, and we'll open the show with it.
It's what the people want. I noticed the viewer count started dropping off a cliff once we started going down this rabbit hole.
Negative numbers.
Yeah. It's actively showing that people are watching everything else other than us.
People who don't even exist have turned us off. Negative numbers.
Perfect. Yeah, it's like the voter fraud thing. People are literally don't. Yeah. Happy holidays, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. Appreciate everyone showing up here on this Friday. I do got a jet, so I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Hit the like button. Thanks. Appreciate it. Free market. Get us out of here.
Good luck at the tables, D-Gens.